seen that from FaZe in the past, and
Yeah.
I imagine we'll see it from them in the future. Fuzz always confident after a win, and FaZe out to a very big start. You mentioned in the break there that with 860 points, they are more than double the points of third place, which I believe was it NIP in
No, it
third
was
place?
Navi.
Or Navi,
with like
excuse me, right? Yep.
360 points.
Right, exactly. So I mean, that's a big gap. Obviously, the kill heavy system is something we saw the first time we did PGL back in spring, and now that ended up being one of the closest tournaments that I've ever seen. So with this kill point system, it's obviously going to favor those aggressive teams. But for Navi specifically, a typically aggressive team coming from Groovy, now a much different team from back then.
Yeah.
Do you think now, even though with the conservative style we typically see in the beginning of these tournaments, that these teams are going to kind of try and turn it on?
Oh, I mean, such an open-ended question. It all just depends on, obviously, the opportunities that they have in the game to open up everything, as well as it's just about how long it takes them to get comfortable with the rest of the teams in the lobby and who they're coming up against. Because, sure, there are 24 games in front of you, and you have the space to use the first couple of games to try and, like, dip your foot in the water, try and, like, get the warm, figure out what the area is around you. But look at FaZe. In the very first game, they got 860 points. If you only have so many opportunities to take over a game in that way, in that huge manner, and you can't pass any of those opportunities up.
Right, absolutely. So we are going to be headed north here again, Cameron. Now, water featured on both the south and north hand sides. Now, this is looking more like a Severny South circle.
Yeah.
So at this point, again, we're going to see a lot of rotation around that southern edge of the play zone going north. So if you're Liquid, they had a tough rotation last time, and now they're sharing Yasnaya once again with M19. This is going to be a bit more difficult for them. They didn't get off to a good start. Samty, not sure if he's playing at 100% due to illness, and they did not seem to do that well with kind of choosing what they wanted to do last game. They were kind of floating around. They did a lot of early rotations, a lot of movement, maybe cost them a little bit in the end.
Ultimately, I think C9 just caught them off guard, not arriving on that position when they did, but also the aggression coming out from them. Early game, rarely do you see a team push up like that onto another team, because if C9 lost that, they could have been the ones that got 16th place. And so that was a big risk for C9 to pull, but that's the C9 roster in a nutshell, essentially. If they find an opportunity to go get some kills, they're going to take them.
We've seen that from other teams in this lobby, as we see Monkey not very well equipped and without a vehicle hoofing it to the military island. And Jazz is in the same position, so it looks like these guys got unlucky with vehicle spawns, as there's nothing quite like the pitter-patter of little monkey feet along the highway trying to get something started here. No vehicle spawns anywhere in sight. This is a tough start for Vitality.
That's rough. The other two are on the military base, so hopefully they have at least one vehicle to start them off at and can come pick these guys up if they end up not finding one, even in the close immediate area. But yeah, this is very uncommon for them. They did get beat out for vehicles, it seems, by Ghost and FaZe, as well as likely OMG, because I can see them rotating from the east all the way to the west to their South Gatka, like far South Gatka, very pure area.
So this is an interesting circle specifically for OMG. Now, I'm not sure how much knowledge that this squad that is playing here has retained from their A squad, the A team, if you will, as Heffa gets ready to maybe take some shots at OMG. He will, and this might be a tough start, but nothing landing there. Heffa doing his best. Not a ton of ammo in reserve to take down OMG. Now, we've seen this circle in the past be very promising for OMG, as in PGI specifically, they play around that plane crash area.
Yeah.
Get around that northern side of the map where Na'Vi is currently rotating. And they have a strategy specifically for that. So this is traditionally an OMG circle. But with this B squad, will we maybe see them unfold that same strategy? Now, that's not a question to you, because who the hell knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But that is something we've seen OMG use the same effect. So if this is actually a family team, will they unfold the strategy that we've seen from the previous OMG squad?
Whether they do or not, we can already see around that area, Na'Vi, Snake, even the Secret, though I think Secret, Fiend specifically is going to be rotating back a little more towards east. It's already getting quite cluttered, and so even if they wanted to go around that area, they're going to have to contend against a couple of top players. Na'Vi here, they are situating themselves a little north of that, and they're actually staying quite conservative, I say, as Sadovnik. I think he's just rotating a vehicle around. He's not going to be retreating. So yeah, they're just hanging out in this building. It's a quite conservative play, but Fiend...
Running into Ibiza, not the person you want to find. Ibiza rotating around the edge of the house, looking to try and finish off. Oh, is Fiend going to be able to escape this? And he will. Ibiza just circumstance just eclipsing Fiend as he sneaks away, wounded, but with his life. And that was a very close call for him as Ibiza unable to finish off that kill. Pads the damage stats a little bit, but Ibiza finding himself alone once again. Now, this is interesting, Cameron. Ibiza has taken the middle of the zone. He in the middle of Team Secret. And you can see right around the center there, just to the south of Noah there from Team Secret. Now, he's playing the lead scout position, but this is where teams get into trouble. They can get across this bridge, but getting to where Ibiza is in his current position is going to be a little bit difficult. Looks like Liquid now getting in their vehicles and ready to move out. Look at this big mass of players. It is the Knights and FaZe rotating alongside each other. Texas in the motorcycle just trying to make sure he doesn't have line of sight. This is a bit of a jumble as M19 and Ghost are coming in behind as well.
A lot of players on this eastern side are wrapping around the lake because it's a safer path generally than going across the river. We saw these...
Blackjar, what are you doing? I love you. Thank you so much.
Whoa, Jazz, what the frickety frick? Whoa! Whoa!
The whole gifting subs thing, that is magical.
These same teams actually do a similar maneuver even last game, not to mention the massive number of games we've seen on this map in previous events. Though, is that either FaZe or Knights even? I think Vossix is stopping to try and get a little bit of passing damage onto FaZe.
I think he just like hit a rock or something.
Or, yeah, I'm trying to give him an out on that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, FaZe are rerouted a little more north. They're not going to be coming directly in on the eastern side. They're going to have to come in a little more in the northeastern play zone, but that is a little more open. So I don't know if that was intentional or not on FaZe's mind.
Amicable.
Yeah.
Looks like they're going to get through each other without too much pomp and circumstance. Looks like Smithy is taking some fire now from Vita, who's just spamming away, quick scoping, seeing if he land anything at long distance. So that is Smitty moving the vehicle across once again, and it looks like Liquid is going to be able to rejoin forces without too much issue. James has arrived. Don't see Mista and Samty just yet, but they should not be too far behind. As it is, looks like it's... Oh, they were going for the plane crash, it looks like, as Bike is taken down by Tian, and that's going to be it for him. So OMG playing the strategy, or at least taking that route, as you can see there, more towards the center of the map, but it looks like Snake TC has opted for the plane crash position, so forcing OMG out of that spot, and maybe Snake has done their homework, knowing that OMG would have come that way. Example from long distance, firing away with the M16, just harassing Liquid, maybe looking to pop some tires here, just disable that rotational ability. As example is just harassing, vandalizing the vehicles.
And he got it. Like, we're trying to fix that, but that's already 2 tires down, I think.
They can't bring the vehicle across the other side as well, so this is just going to be Liquid.
But Liquid's still going
annoyed.
into they're still going into a split, though.
Yeah.
It got punished last time, due in part to an aggressive Cloud9, but also perhaps just barely being a little late on their timing with Jeans assisting Visa. But they're still going for it. They're still believing in the split system in the early game. And, I mean, we'll see how it works out now. I actually think it's going to be a really promising split in this position of the map. The Blues closing in right now. And you can see that they're not too far from each other. They're the gray dots on the minimap, Squad 13. They're not too far, and between those two compounds, they actually have decent sight lines with each other. And the fact that they're so center, especially the yellow that James and Ibiza are at, does give them a really good position leading into the mid game.
Our current leading team, FaZe, taking some shots at Ghost once again. Yempty took one. Now looking to see where it came from, likely Frolicker or Balak. But Extreme does take one in return. He's rotating along the north side of Severity where Mixie is held up. He's trying to land something. Extreme is taking some shots, but it's going to be Frolicker next. The UMP long distance spray. It's a bit of a bold move there by Mixie as he puts some flair on it, seeing if he can get anything going. But for now, the fishing is not wielding any, or reaping any rewards, I should say, as Balak is Mixie's last chance to get a kill on the rotating Ghost. See if he can do it. Great job, good effort.
Good job, good job. You can see, though, he's actually using up a fair bit of his 5.56 ammo for the M16.
Yeah, I mean, they've got Severity held down. They might be able to continue their loot phase.
If Secret hasn't already looted everything in there.
That's true, but for now, I'm interested to see Vitality actually now out in the blue taking some damage. It kind of sucks, but that's a tough start for Vitality. Once again, they have the longest rotation. They're going to have to come in on the edge. Now, we'll see what this circle does if it adjusts center first, but we do have river and ocean in play, so the circle algorithm might get a little confused here.
This isn't that bad for Vitality, though, because the last time they were stuck on the south of the river, but that was in a circle that led a lot of people gatekeeping that side of the river. This time around, there is a very low likelihood that anyone's going to put too much attention on that side, so they're actually given a little bit of a free pass. They don't have any positional control, but they are able to come in late, and, I mean, that's what you do when you play on Sosnovka Island. If it's a northern shift, you really have no option but to come in late.
Looks like Profi jumped up and took a quick look to see what Divine was doing, but you said it. Ghost lost 2 in rotation. McCoy getting taken down by Botulin, as I believe we saw Balak go down, or Frolicker. Yeah, it was Frolicker go down. So we will see that Severity circle. Yempty and the rest of FaZe have decent map control along the gas station and Severity side. So that's a good start for them. They'll be able to pick up some loot and whatnot. So FaZe looking good in positioning so far. The Knights to their east, Secret to their south. OMG kind of split in the center as Ibiza will take down and finish Aluka. As now it's 4 AM in rotation, trying to attack and taking down Ibiza. Maybe getting a little bit too aggressive there. And that will be costly for Ibiza as he goes down. MMLS does go down as well to Clouds. A little bit of a vehicle issue there. And so here comes Jeems, flying straight in on top of West, and maybe an unfortunate start there for him is Smitty at long distance. Liquid full committing to this push on to 4 AM, who's now arriving in force, and this is not going well for Liquid. Missed it now, the last man standing, the last man, and he will actually take down all of 4 AM all by himself. And the smokes do go down. He's not out of the woods yet. James and Santi are down, and unfortunately, Smitty rewarding that nice play from Mista with a long-distance shot, and Liquid is eliminated right after 4 AM, going down in 15th place.
You can just see the domino effect that the decision-making has in this game. Ibiza spread out to get kills on transitioning players, ended up being an overextension because 4 AM were in a position to immediately punish, and then that with Summer taking that yellow immediately before the rest of Liquid could arrive, made it all in a jumble, and that compound is very difficult to play around because of the open. If you want to spread out to get control from that compound, you have very little cover in that outside area, which is what led to Secret third-partying that and ending up finishing Liquid off in 15th.
That was a nice play, followed up by a bit of heartbreak for Mista.
Yeah.
You know, condolences to Team Liquid. That came apart really quickly for both of those teams. They definitely asserted dominance over 4 AM, but it cost them a lot, and the positioning is going to be a big factor there. But wow, what a play from Mista. So now the Knights finding themselves shooting long distance in M19. Divine. Hanging out again in a split position. They've got C9 kind of percolating nearby, still in actually in their own kind of split position. Looks like they're just kind of filtering one at a time and playing as 4, which is important here. C9 has had in previous instances a little bit of trouble, you know, staying all on the same page in team fights, but staying together like that, a good sign from them. Gaxi with 1 kill, using that mini to reach out and see if he can find anybody.
NIP here are in a really good position in this circle to really deal some damage. But in order to get control from this spot, they have to land these kills. And it seems like Gax is having a little bit of trouble with that. He's able to find 1, but not too many more are coming his way. We'll see what happens when the next circle shows itself, if it's a hard swing in any position. But they're in a nice split. The 2 there on the south, on that entrance to the bunker, and then the 2 on the north on top of that hillside. Hillsides, of course, particularly very thin ones like that, are very dynamic ones to play around. But if they're controlled well, they can get a lot of kill points. But Athletico here, looks like they're pushing onto Snake.
It looks like so. Athletico and C9 both receiving attention from Snake, but has lost 1 player. 277 is down, going for the immediate res. Athletico throwing grenades, but not quite landing, a little bit too far away. I like the positioning from Snake here. They have this whole plane crash to themselves. They have the ridge to work with. Atletico not looking like they want to get aggressive. TNTN did land a knock onto C9, who is a little bit further to their east. They're just trying to get away from them. Is C9 Profi does they actually get finished off? So that's another kill going to Snake, and we see Profi going down first. Something we've seen in the past from him, a little bit further separated from his team, but nonetheless, Cloud9 will take a decent position around the center of the play zone next to OMG. But for Atletico, I'm surprised to see no follow-up on this.
Yeah, they just don't have a lot of control pushing in onto this area. Snake, or they're really dug in their heels into this plane crash. They have a nice value to play around. My worry for them, though, is that they're focused too much on Atletico because they're on the edge, essentially. This is still a big circle this early on in the game, and if they focus too much on Atletico, if they don't start to figure out a path into the more central area, if they get hard shift off of, or even medium shift off of, they could be in a rough spot on their next transition. But Neferhor, you can see on the western side, he's already branching up north to find some other way for Atletico to push through, so they don't have to go through that same area.
Sticking with that scout strategy is Atletico, and it looks like Neferhor has found himself a spot, but just like that, it doesn't matter. The circle is shifted once again, and this is looking very good for FaZe. They have a nice split hold between the gas station Severny and the northern ridge, and Cloud9, having lost Profi, are right around NIP, but there's not a lot of avenue for this fight to really take off unless NIP decides they want to get out of their little hole in the ground and come out from the shelter. So for Cloud9, I think they're inclined to just kind of chill for a little while. They have the zone. They don't have to travel too much. They still have 3 of their players. I have to say, I'm liking the way that Cloud9 is positioning themselves, but I think executing in their rotation and just kind of keeping that phase tight is what's going to be the difference between them having success or failure.
It's working out for them right now. It depends on how much they want.
What?
Blackjar, what are you doing? I love you. Thank you so much.
Whoa, James, what the frickety frick? Whoa! Whoa!
The whole gifting subs thing, that is magical.
Want to push out compared to how much they're okay just playing conservative and just killing people that come onto them. But in that position, it's actually not difficult to have a lot of teams start to crowd around your area, and it's a little hard to try and keep them pushed away to keep established control. M19, though, they're pushing into Vitality, or at least they're punishing a rotation from Vitality.
Vitality arriving late, moving past M19 on the southern portion of the zone. Jazza and Yannick will both go down, so Vitality's woes continue. And just like that, Vitality is going to lose Yannick. K-Mine stealing the kill there. The Knights have arrived in an interesting position, a nice position. They have 2 ridges to work with. Vitality just getting peppered, and Monkey now in a ton of trouble. He's floating backwards, completely free and devoid of all cover. And one more shot will take him down as Miracu. It's a race to see who will finish him. It will be Moody stealing that kill. So 2 kills going to Cloud9 via kill steal, and Vitality, wow, a very tough rotation. Shadow coming in behind, and he is in a terrible spot as well. So for Shadow, the last man standing, nowhere really to move. And Vitality, it looks like he's going to have to just hang out in the shack and ride this one out.
He's got no choice, and that just shows you how punishing it can be being on such a late rotation.
Poor Shadow.
Even though they did, as I mentioned earlier, they came from military base. You're always going to have to come in late, but they came in, I feel, maybe perhaps a little too late, because in a circle like this, rather than bombing into the center like they tried to do, you're going to want to have to take control of the hills down to the south where Divine are currently playing, and slowly, inch by inch, push yourself in. But it seems that they got pressured too much by the circle, and they didn't feel comfortable with the time that they had to do that. And so they had to go to this last option of just bomb into the center of the circle and hope that someone makes it out. And luckily, they have one in, but
it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
So Shadow, the last man standing, Cloud9 in the Cloud9 divot, just chilling, trading loot, talking about, you know, cool stories and whatnot, whatever.
Braiding their hair, talking about boys.
Braiding their hair, yeah, exactly. Having a little slumber party down in the divot. But for Cloud9, they're in an interesting spot. Snake TC actually just to their east, or sorry, to their west, has set up a little bit of a hold just next to NIP, and that's an interesting spot for them. Miracu and NBS do have the hill to the north, but right now it's all about FaZe and their hold in Severny. They've got all spread out. They've got 2, HC, I believe, and Mixie hanging out in the barn together. Cloud9 now has a line long distance onto Divine. And I'm not rapping, I'm just saying what I can see.
They're getting third party a little bit from Severny. It's long range, though not the easiest shots, especially because they can immediately hide back down in that dip. But that does, again, just go to show how difficult it is from that position to really establish control, because they got that knock on Divine, weren't able to finish it. Easy revive for Divine to continue to slowly start to pressure down on them, as well as the third party from Severny, from NIP's Hill, from potentially later on, you're going to have Secret and OMG onto their east side. Cloud9, they can take these shots and they can win fights that come to them. It's just the problem about potentially being overwhelmed. And so they have to peek up and try and put out as much pressure as they can without peeking out too much that you then just get immediately headshot.
Cloud9 still just percolating, hanging out. Ooh, long distance shots. Looking here, that M24, the silenced M24 sounds so sweet.
Yummy.
The Knights getting into it with Secret, actually, and it looks like they're doing a lot of damage. Secret, I think, quickly lost 3 players there. Not sure if that's the case as Moody slowly falls on his side. There's actually only 2 players going down and finish as Smitty and New are the last 2 men left. And actually, it's Atletico getting into it with Na'Vi, an unlikely team getting the upper hand on Na'Vi here. So right now, guys, could you not add the Observer to your friends list, please? Could you? He's very busy. All right, no friend request. See, that's gonna make it worse. So for Nip, they're again rotating on foot as our Observer's making all sorts of new friends out here, ladies and gentlemen.
Nip, they're in a rough
Botulin's
spot because they have to push in through the shooting range, but they also want to try and stop these other rotations happen around them. Na'Vi, they took 2 from Atletico. You can see on the minimap just barely on the northwest side, now running directly into Ninjas. So Ninjas have to stop, deal with this problem before pushing in themselves. So Dovnik, 1 HP, but then rolls immediately into Snake. But here goes Atletico on their own rotation, counterclockwise, trying to wrap into Divine's Hill. But this was the opportunity that NIP had to get a lot of kills. We're unable to find too many of them. Instead, it's going to be Snake, I think. We're in a good spot to pick up a lot of these.
I don't know if Atletico is aware of the fact that Botulin is just kind of chilling in the smoke here.
C9.
So C9 is getting into it with Nip, and this shooting range area is quickly becoming very, very alive. Botulin is just throwing smokes around him. He's heard vehicles arrive. Oh, boy. Basically right on top of him, as there's nothing for him to really do but kind of hang out. Atletico, I think, is unaware of the fact that they have a guy right here, and it looks like maybe McClutch is going to take a quick drive through the smoke and is like, did I put that there? I don't think I did, but I'm not going to think too much about it. So Atletico might be setting themselves up for heartbreak here, as Batulin is right behind them, just kind of hanging out. He could ruin their day. Oh, I don't see him all of a sudden. Maybe he's disappeared.
He's on the minimap. He's fine. He's a little bit
off camera there, yeah. But Snake TC is just as interested as Botulin is in staying in the smokes. And Atletico now is more interested in taking this team fight, as I don't think that Botulin, considering that there's still 14 teams up, gets into this fight. But he could potentially really do a lot of damage here to Atletico, who is maneuvering to get aggressive with Snake TC. They've got the low side flank on the shooting range. Snake TC not really reacting to this movement, but Atletico turning their backs on the enemy as well. I'm not entirely sure what the strategy is here. They're maybe getting all the way around them. They could maybe, they do spot TNT, and so that's a nice initial shot, and they are going to commit. Snake now fully aware of their positioning. They have lots of interesting cover down in the shooting range, as Heffa will finish off one of the Snake TC downs. And just like that, Snake TC, doing nothing in return. So I suppose they just want to ride this one out, having Atletico get position on them. Botulin now rotating away from this fight entirely into the welcoming arms of NIP.
Yeah, Snake, they had an opportunity there, but I think the smokes, either their own or Atletico's, they don't know who deployed all of them on their position, really messed them up. They gave Atletico an opportunity just to push into shooting range, which does give Snake the high ground, but they had to get inside the circle, and as well as you said, they were getting around Snake by doing so. 277, he's just lying here. I don't know if they even know what's going on with Atletico, because he's not peeking up. He's not even trying to go for any information, any sort of shots. Atletico, they're just running straight through. They could deal a lot of damage to them, but they're playing way too scared. They have virtually no control from a position that Atletico should not have been able to push through this easily.
So for Noah, now stuck in the shack, And the circle has gone centered to the north of Severny, or excuse me, to the south of Severny. And it looks like Secret's got a decent hold here, but they're going to have to fight off a lot of encroaching players. OMG, I believe, is underground and are dealing with the Knights. So it's a bit of a tough situation here, as there's 2 left alive. Well, now 3 soon. as it's OMG just holding on to the southern the southern bunker, just kind of trying to hold on to it. The Knights in an interesting position, but looking like they can't really commit to this. But Cloud9 has been active, but still in the divot, as Atletico still harassing Snake, now with the zone advantage, but not quite in the zone themselves. A minute and a half as the circle continues to shrink, and this shooting range area is going to be a bloodbath, Cameron.
Ooh, NIP actually haven't spotted out Bachelin, which even though he's in the blue, he's able to stay alive for now. NIP push in onto Atletico. VG Gaming actually get finished out. They had to push in through FaZe. FaZe still not in the circle themselves, although Yempty, I think, has been able to bound in. But
Oh, wow.
still rushing through. Gaxi!
Nip is just destroying Atletico. And it looks like they're now in a horrible pinch, is Atletico, as Moody now getting down from Divine. Like I said, the shooting range has quickly become uncorked, as Vard and NBS actually getting taken down in turn by McClutch. So Atletico not going down without a fight. And Snake TC's got the fence line. Divine's on the high ground. C9 is in the C9 divot. And there's Botulin still snaking away, crawling around, the last man standing from Na'Vi, as Divine has the high ground, but they keep exposing themselves to all sides. Jet continuing to receive pressure as Vard will go down to the zone. And like I said, this shooting range is about to just be a big mass. Yeah, this is a crazy fight happening here on the edge of the circle. So many teams piled up on top of each other. It looks like Moody is getting the upper hand on all of Snake TC. A lot of kills in the kill feed, as K-Mine and the rest of C9 is trying to hold this border, as Divine is going to go for a full press down the hill. NBS, the last man standing from Nip. It is Cloud9 picking up a ton of kills on the edge of the zone, one after the other, and Divine will take down and finish NBS, as Na'Vi and Nip are both finished off. And now Divine throwing nades downhill. Moody will go down first. K-Mine and Nerf now having to react. The AK getting up close, K9.
Ooh.
K-Mine just moving up the side. Divine, I think, has the advantage here. This is now not looking good for Cloud9. They're just pushing this top side of the hill. Now Nerf, the last man standing. He's going to have to back off and prone just to try and save a little bit of time, but Nerf will be finished off, and just like that, Divine in one.
What?
Blackjar, what are you doing? I love you. Thank you so much.
Whoa, James, what the frickety frick? Whoa! Whoa!
The whole gifting subs thing, that is magical.
One fell swoop takes down all of Cloud9 and cleans up the shooting range side with 7 kills.
This was the overwhelm that Cloud9 should have been worried about the entire time. They did a good job gatekeeping the western side, but oh, they let someone slip through. McClutch actually came out of shooting range. Divine haven't spotted him just yet. It's only going to be a matter of seconds if they're not so focused on getting inside the circle. You just need to stay quiet. But Divine, a very good job just pushing up from that hill. I'm honestly surprised that no one else tried to take that hill from them.
Well, I mean, I think it was just their control. They came in from that northern side, kind of slow and quiet. Everyone rotated around the southern portion of the shooting range. McClutch having to hold his breath a little bit. He doesn't have much distance to cover to get to the zone, but he has all of Divine all around him.
They're bodyguards.
And just like that, we move over to M19, finding themselves tangled up with FaZe. Fuzzface backing it off a little bit, throwing the defensive nade. In return, is it a smoke? Is it a regular frag? I guess we'll find out. Looks like it was a frag grenade. 8C going down to Drayden on the high side by the shelter. They having still OMG in the shelter behind them, as M19 having to back off a little bit as the Knights getting involved. And FaZe is in a precarious position here in the low ground. I believe they finished the res, so they're still 4 strong. I'm not entirely sure if OMG is still underneath them or what's exactly happening here. They have to be, right? There's
they
nowhere else for
are.
them to
I don't
be.
know why they're not trying to pressure Knights, though, because if they tried to attack from below, Knights would be caught between 2 edges, the above ground third partying and then OMG right below them, but OMG are too scared to go on that aggressive, or they're comfortable just letting the Knights basically be their bodyguards and wait for them to deal with everything, but there we go.
We lost McClutch. We lost him. He did get one down and no finish, but FaZe is still defending against the Knights. Shadow in his shack, having been there for quite some time now, not having to do too much, as Yempty will take down Texas. So now it's a bit of a war of attrition here, Cameron.
You can see some third-party action from Divine, who've been able to push down, as you see on the mini-map, but there we go.
Oh my god, the Knights don't seem to care that much about the fact that OMG is just living in their hut. So there's two down here. This is a problem for the Knights. How did they let this happen? What is happening? Oh my god, OMG is just coming out of the hole and they're destroying the Knights. How did you let this happen to you? OMG has been down here for so long and they pop up and take down 3 from the Knights.
I mean, maybe the OMG they didn't do anything for so long. Knights
just forgot about them?
Yeah, just either forgot about them. They're like, well, I guess they're never going to attack. We have too much distracting us on this for the north of us. But you need at least one person watching that way, or like a consistent smoke there if you have the resources to utilize, and that just decimates the Knights. They were already taking so much damage. And this gives a really good opportunity for Divine to push in, because Knights were their biggest threat, trying to push in from the western side. Other than, of course, M19 and FaZe, the long distance, or Crema.
No, dude. This is horrible for the Knights and the mole people. OMG have come out from the sewers and are just wreaking havoc on the Pittsburgh Knights with Crema just desperately holding on. This has got to be frustrating for them, as they just lost track of what was happening, I imagine. We saw them fighting earlier, and OMG hasn't moved that much. So an unfortunate start. Maybe oh, here we go. Let's go, Crema. He's kind of stuck on the edge, as an unfortunate turn of events for the Knights just goes really far south. Clouds will be rezzed as the Knights are finished off by the men from underground, OMG, and Divine have, in your acute opinion, have taken a great position up at the top of this hill now. OMG is basically stuck down there. They've got some loot, Cameron, but FaZe battling here on the open fields.
FaZe should be doing a lot more damage across the zone if it weren't for M19, and they're having just to trade blows back and forth. Mixie lost his helmet, still has a vest, which is very rare this late into the game.
So this is now going to be a matter of movement here, as FaZe taking a lot of punches, a lot of damage on there, and M19 slowly trying to crawl it in. This is looking good for Divine. They do have a significant gear advantage, and they have position in the zone. Good map control as well. Not a lot of cover to work with. OMG picking up some much-needed supplies from the down Knights players. But it looks like Divine is going to have to just crawl their way along the low side of this ridge. Ooh, barely dodging. We've seen that. That Scoom just has PTSD somewhere right now. Empty vehicles rolling across fields. But that's looks like no one is going to get wiped from that in a embarrassing fashion. So
still crawling in.
They're just crawling it in. I mean, Divine with 8 total kills.
Because they still, even though they don't have a lot of good position from this spot, the fact that they still have 4 up, under the assumption that FaZe and M19 are going to deal some damage to each other, trying to leave that spot, they are in a position to get a good high placement, if not the win. And it's all dependent on who these other teams on this edge, if they're going to impact each other that much or not. M19, they want to spread a little bit away from FaZe. They don't want to commit too much to that engagement, and especially because the next circle has swung down to the south, it puts them in a spot to actually punish FaZe if FaZe rotate through them.
Will Divine use this car, I wonder? I mean, they have a UAZ there. They can kind of roll into this field.
Divine are in the circle. They're on the edge, but they're in the circle.
So they have cover. I mean, it's there. There's not a lot of it, but really they have a decent line of sight. If FaZe continues to push forward just like that, Levis with a very nice reaction time there, just trying to put some shots onto FaZe, who have been battered so far. M19 on the parallel flank there. OMG a little bit above them, and it looks like FaZe is going to take it first to M19, taking down and finishing example. And just like that, Yempty's actually taken a very aggressive position in the zone here, leaving Fuzzface behind with Mixie. And he's we've seen this in the past from FaZe. Well, they'll have one guy on a super wide flank, and when M19 feels like they can maybe put some pressure, Yempty will pop up and do something here. But MMLS is taking down and finishing Mixie in the back line. This is actually looking pretty good for OMG, considering the fact that they've spent most of this game underground. This is a very tough position here for FaZe. Fuzzface is getting peppered from all sides. Shadow has emerged from his shack, immediately being met by M19. Yempty will finish him off, and Tuons will take down Shadow. Fuzzface, the last man standing, will take some shots, maybe just sneaking away. It's actually OMG finishing M19 at long distance. Fuzzface getting the final kill there. And just like that, we're down to the top 3. OMG getting sprayed down by Divine. This is looking good for Divine with 4 strong and 9 kills. They've got total map control, and they've got the zone as well, as this is the final circle. Divine having almost no opposition so far as MMLS goes down to the zone. FaZe scattered to the wind, and this is looking like Divine's game.
Fuzzface is getting the revival on Gemty, so that gives them 2 people to continue to fight this. But you can look on the minimap. Divine have 2 people right on their position.
Yep.
And FaZe, it looks like they're so preoccupied with OMG, who have been really loud but stuck in that single spot. Divine this whole time, though.
They got 2 reses, too, there, did OMG.
OMG, yeah, they're still 3 up, but this entire time, Divine, they're going on their own pincer maneuver that FaZe did to win out last game, and Jet dropping XXB again.
I was gonna say, if Divine doesn't try and finish off FaZe, the Bush Hunter's going. Now only Yempty left standing, and it will be Divine finishing off FaZe, securing 2nd place, and this is looking all Divine all the time, as OMG is trying desperately to survive, but it's just not gonna happen. Divine Esports take game number 2 with 14 total kills. Terrific game from Divine, but really for OMG, after being trapped underground for the entirety of that game, coming out and finishing off the Knights, that was a very nice 2nd place finish.
Divine, I mean, I'm going to put myself on blast, and I told you this after last game. They really they did not impress at all when they showed up at Star Ladder.
Right.
And so when I said after last game it was a good job, but can they repeat that, or was that just the nature of the position that they ended up finding themselves in? It looks like they can repeat it. They stormed down from that hilltop that, granted, they were left alone for the majority of that game, so they didn't have to fight for it, but they took that position, and they just executed on it,